have some. Be me, teenage. My brother and I had to sleep in the same bedroom. We had our own bed though. Sleep one day, all normal. Wake up next morning. My brother cracks. He swears someone was watching me while sleeping, and he caught him off guard. Pure shadow and one black hat. Just looking at me. I don't remember why my brother was awake, but when he tried to talk to the man, the black hat guy looked at him, and he just fell asleep again. We both don't care, since apparently the guy didn't even scare him. And he wasn't trying to do something weird. He was just looking at me. I always believed him since he would never lie with this stuff. Years later, I discovered tales about the shadow people in X. Be me, camping at Colleton State Park in South Kakalaki in a basic tent. Left dog at home with roommate because it might be too hot during the day. Buddy is with me and we do basic camping stuff. Fires, food, and alcohol. Not an empty park at all. Plenty of people, though none within several hundred yards of our site. Nestled right against an embankment that drops 20 feet or so into swampy land, then a river. We call it a night and bed down. Eyes are heavy. It is unnaturally quiet for such a well-used park. Hear rustling to my right, which is where the embankment is. Fucking jolted awake, eyes wide, heart racing. Adrenaline absolutely maxed. Why the fuck didn't I bring the dog? Pay careful attention to the steps, and they are clearly bipedal. Rules out all animals in that part of the world. Very slow-paced steps, but very steady. Never felt the need to be so goddamn quiet in my life. I am controlling my breath to where I can't even hear it. Peeking out the mesh of the tent, but it is pitch black. Not a shred of moonlight or artificial light. Steps pause like fucking immediately perpendicular to my spot. Is this how I die? I've completely stopped breathing now for what feels like an eternity. Steps continue onwards with their slow pace. The kicker is, my buddy didn't even hear shit because he's half deaf and was sleeping in the bed of his truck with all sorts of shit around him. Eventually, calmed the fuck down and fall asleep. Next morning, we're both awakened to the sound of kids screaming down by the river. Rush down to see what's going on. At least one kid drowned in the river. Kid was dragged down below and all of his friends seem to be trying to find him. Cops show up, find a body downstream. Head missing. I'll tell mine since I'm also Colombian. Dad was in the military and Mom lived with him in an Air Force base in the Amazon. Internal conflict was at its peak, so planes could only arrive once every 2 weeks, depending on climate. Mom's like 7 months of pregnancy, so belly is noticeable. Dad pilots intelligence aircrafts, so he's out all night, flying. Both my mom and dad used to live in a small room, but because of the pregnancy, they asked for a full apartment. Since the airbase was really big, it had a bunch of houses and a 3-story building with small apartments. Also, because it was isolated from almost everything, power cut off every day at 7 p.m. Usually it gets dark, like at 5:30, 6 p.m. here. They move into one of those apartments on the last floor. Since Dad is working all the time, some soldiers help my mom with the moving. Mom notices that some of the soldiers were acting strange, but wipes it off. That night, she hears knocks in the bedroom's window. Asks who it is. It's me. I'm here. Panics the fuck out and asks again. Same response. She starts crying and praying. She says that she suddenly couldn't pronounce words, like her tongue was tangled. She leaves the house, rushes down the stairs, and people notice her screams and rush out to help. Next day, she tells my dad everything. He tells her maybe it has something to do with pregnancy stress and nightmares. That night, the same thing happens again. Who is it? It's me. Here I am. Mom had bought a flashlight, but the batteries, somehow, were not working. Rushes out of the house, people notice, etc. Next day she goes and talks to a person. We're gonna call them a South American witch. Yes, we are. A lot of countries in South America, witches and sorcerers used to live within communities, taking the roles of medics or priests. medics that specialize on herbs, potions, and massages to alleviate illness. The witch tells her that there was money and indigenous belongings in the apartment. Every military base, even to this day I believe, has a priest. Most of the people in Colombia are Catholics, so it helps soldiers and communities near the bases. She goes to the priest, asks the priest to pour holy water on the apartment. It's a common practice when you move somewhere to sanctify it. Priest agrees, tells her that he'll be there before it gets dark. Mom gets to the apartment, falls asleep. Wake up next day, surprised that she slept for so long and the priest did not show up. Meets the priest. He tells her he went to the apartment and she was standing by the window looking up, but never answered nor opened the door. Mom tells everything to Dad. He tells her it's better for her to leave the base for the time and come back after the child, me, was born. Mom agrees. She goes back to her mom's, and I was born there. Dad was transferred to a major city shortly after I was born, so my mom never came back to the military base. Fast forward 15 years, Dad's still in the military, divorced. I live with him. He was transferred back to that base, but this time as the director of the whole military base. I move with Mom, still travel to the base almost all of my vacations. One time, I arrive and there's this old lady walking near my house. Recognizes me, calls me by my name, asks about my mom. Figure it's someone who met me when I was a baby, and I don't remember, so I just answer kindly. We chat for a bit, tells me her name, leaves. Tell Dad about the old lady, and he tells me that she was the witch. Still creeps me out how she could recognize me and knew my name, even though we hadn't met before and my dad never spoke with her. There's a disappearing house in Thompson, Iowa. I saw it back in 2006. In town for a few months, working. Long hours, up before dawn. Normally don't get back to my motel till near sundown. Spend my days off sleeping or watching TV. Point is, I didn't really get a chance to see much of the area at all. So on a day off, I decided to take a drive. Cornfields everywhere. I passed one house that really stands out. Big and white, kinda Victorian looking, with a big wraparound porch. Looks brand new. Confused, I pass this area every day on my way to work, and never seen it before. Figure it's because I'm usually still waking up when I'm heading to work. There's an old lady outside at the mailbox. I wave to her. She just stares me down the whole time. Whatever. Anyway, fast forward. I'm heading back to the motel after driving around for a few hours, expecting to see the big white house again. I don't. Whole area is a cornfield. Never saw the house again. I remember this was off the 84, right at the border of Iowa and Illinois. Anybody from there ever heard of this? I'm not from there, and I haven't been back since. Posted this on X and was directed to post it here too. Be me, 27. Live in decently rural southern Maine. Nearest town is 20 minutes away. About 4 months ago, middle of winter. Dad out for the day. Brother is working, home alone. In my basement playing video because winter break and fuck working. Have to poop. Go upstairs to the bathroom. I should note that the window in our bathroom is not tinted and opens up to a foyer which itself has a window. So I can see clearly out to our backyard. Anyways, sit down to do my business. Scrolling through Facebook and shit. Look up outside just in time to see a snow owl swooping down from the sky and landing on a branch. Think to myself, that's pretty cool. Wait a second. Do a double take. That owl is huge. Like fucking huge. Wingspan is easily 10 feet across. Thing is probably as tall as a person, maybe taller. Branch it's sitting on is struggling to hold it up. Stare for a few long moments, wondering what the fuck I'm looking at. Thing is just leisurely printing itself and doing owl things. Start messing with my phone to try and take a picture. Look back up to see it staring right at me. Freeze for a moment. The thing flaps its wings and lifts off of the branch, flying toward the house. Hear a loud thump as it lands on the roof of the house. Shit bricks. Call neighbor. Ask him if he can see the big-ass fucking owl on the roof of our house. Says he doesn't see anything. Sit around for a moment, wondering if I should go outside. Decide to nut up and go outside. And sure enough, nothing's there. Only evidence that it ever existed is the breaks on the frozen snow where it landed on the roof. Contemplate if I'm going schizo. Still have no clue what that was. Wasn't a thunderbird, or how people would traditionally describe them. This was 110% a snow owl, like pig related. Very white and was slightly hard to see with the fresh snowfall. Have you ever had any paranormal or just flat out weird / unexplainable experiences with vidya? Also, alternatively, do you think vidya could potentially be used to do paranormal stuff, i.e. channeling, remote viewing, or predicting future events? Technology, including vidya, has been affected by my consciousness and mind. I remember smoking cannabis, and the game would be more alive and more enjoyable. Like GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, the NPCs would say things that I've never heard them say, like they were talking to me. And shooting people, I could feel their souls leave. Let alone taking LSD many times, and the games would glitch out and completely change. I came here to see if anyone has experienced something like this, because the same is for me. I wish I could get into details about how profound it was, but it was quite a while ago now. I truly believe spirits can communicate to us through mediums, such as this. I don't know if this counts as paranormal, but there is a group of quests in a Fallout game that revolve around a small group of people. They all have the same names as people that I knew as a child. Unique names, too. The setting even seemed like them. As the player, I had to read about the group, their final moments, and learn about how they died. Can't save them either because they're already dead by the time you get to their hideout. Be me, greasy little kid. Minecraft is new and I get my greasy hands on it and play with my dad and siblings. Go to bed after playing. Stuck in a thought loop, borderline torturous. Entirely out of my control, my brain is forcing me to see it. Always running over a grass plain and I come to a hole. Always try to jump over the hole, but I fall in. I start again, and I try to run and jump over the hole. Always failing and starting again. I'm not in control of my thoughts at all. I'm being forced to view this. Pure mental agony. I was also spinning around inside my own head whenever I tried to walk anywhere away from the path. I still don't know what it means. Be me in 2001, 13 years old. We finally upgrade from 56K to cable. Decide to try Counter-Strike to see major difference in ping. Not sure why, but I looked at my LAN list and see one server running. There's no other computer in my house, and I'm the only one who games anyways. Join this LAN game that only has 2 players. Get in game. The 2 players knew my real name. Hey, it's Anon. My game name is not my real name, and my PC name isn't either. Ask them who they are, but they don't say a thing. Continue to play for 5 minutes with them until I get disconnected. Never saw another LAN game show up on my list again. No idea what the hell happened, or how it was possible. Real story, not some shitty creepypasta. Brother's school got rid of their old shitty desktops. Dad takes one and gets it set up just for fun at home. First thing I do is install Half-Life from my Steam account. Music files were fucked and totally different. One track was some distorted classical music. Nothing creepy, just off-sounding. Another track was a distorted kind of fucked version of Devil Went Down to Jamaica by Weird Al. There was no CD in the disk drive. Never figured out what happened. Playing Club Penguin with all the other neighborhood kids. Weird story about this, actually. About a decade after I last saw those kids, I decided to log into my old Club Penguin account for more nostalgia. And I get this. I go into my player home, the igloo, and there's one of my old friend's penguins standing in my fucking igloo. Same exact player name and everything. And then, after a few seconds of staring in disbelief, they run out of the igloo, and I never saw them again. This shit perplexes me to this day. It almost feels paranormal in nature. When playing the Minecraft Alpha way back in the day, I would sometimes encounter the Herobrine character. I only learned years later that this character would turn into a creepy pasta or something. At the time, I just assumed it to be a standard NPC. I can confirm that encountering this NPC did happen at least back in the day, despite all websites claiming that Herobrine was never part of the code. One time, I was just digging a tunnel when pig-related spawned behind me, and just shuffled around. Scared me a little, but like I said, at the time, I just assumed it to be a quirk or the alpha build I was playing. I think survival mode hadn't been released at that point. One particular instance stands out for me, The Witcher 3. At the time, I was fairly low in mood and considering suicide, and I decided to play Witcher 3. As I was aimlessly wandering about, a doctor showed up talking about a special creature and how it would be a horrible thing to kill it. The whole thing was surreal. I truly believe we are able to interface with digital machine in some indirect way. I've experienced movie scenes changing based on my actions/mood, or lack thereof. It's all pretty spooky when I think too long on it. I have had other experiences where games were quote-unquote talking to me, such as NPCs in GTA. There were some moments in other games, but nothing as solid as what I described. What? Playing Club Penguin, Playing Club Penguin. Oh my god.